There, folks. Welcome into T1A Tier 1 Ascension. I'm Tank. That's Mike.
Quite the right way.
Thanks for stumbling into our little world here. In this episode, we are going to be helping you avoid the high-end bust players that happen every season. Top RB goes down with an injury. Highly touted wide receiver can't put it together. A QB that just falls flat. A tight end that you are sure is the next Tony Gonzalez, and he turns out to be David Njoku. Don't get busted. Every year, the top 12 at each position is decided upon, and every year, a few of those guys don't pan out at all. Today, we are looking about 8 guys that are among the top 12 drafted players at their position and letting you know why they will fail for you this year. You know what? I think we should just get into it here.
Good. Hey, welcome in. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and put the back in. Subscribe. As Tank was saying in this episode, we're going to cover these players that always get a lot of hope, a lot of hype on these guys. It's like the top 12 always gets decided real early in the year, and it only adjusts a little bit here and there. And you get closer to the year, and somehow these guys end up looking like top 12 players. We feel like they're going to let you down. And as usual, we're going to be doing this off of a 12-team PPR super flex leagues. Any kind of extra flex you got, we don't even know about that. But here's our top 12 guys that we think, or our guys that we think aren't going to make the top 12. First off, we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. I know, the titan of touchdown to pick ratio, the emperor of efficiency, the ever eclectic championship belt wearing, Danica Patrick dating, 5-star field general, Aaron Rodgers will not be a top 12 fantasy quarterback in 2022. I know. But it's Aaron Rodgers. This ain't the same offense without Devontae Adams. And Green Bay took it to Rodgers again, drafting a underwhelmed rookie in Christian Watson from a small school, very unpolished. There's a very unproven wide receiver room sitting in Green Bay right now. And each one of those guys is fearing the moment. The gimme catch slips through their hands, and they are sitting smack dab in the middle of the wrath of Rodgers. They'll feel the sting, one of the nastiest long stares in the NFL, and then the smooth finish of the pine hitting their ass. And they're going to be there for a minute. We have to face the fact that Adams and his 123 catches, 1,553 yards, and 11 touchdowns from last year are out the door. And there's nobody on the roster that's capable of matching those stats. I'm in agreement with current consensus that Green Bay will lean heavy on the run game this coming year. They were 17th in pass attempts last year, 24th in 2021. They will again rely heavily on the Superman efficiency of Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think the weapons are there for Rodgers to put up the stats necessary to be a top 12 quarterback. At his current ADP at 47.8, that's the end of the 4th round via sleeper. I'd rather draft Carr in the middle of the 5th round or Cousins at the end of the 7th round.
Yeah, much better value there.
Yeah. So, Tank, who's the first guy you want to talk about today? Who are you calling out as a failure?
It's hard to say it, but Nick Chubb. I mean, the average.
Ew.
Yeah. Average snaps last year in Cleveland, 29, 34, 28. Between their top 3 running backs, who do you think was which? Chubb ended the season with 34% of the snaps. Ernest Johnson finished with 28 and Kareem 29. Yes, each Hunt and Chubb miss games, but all running backs in the NFL do. Chubb's making RB1 is solely dependent on their quarterback position. While under Brissett, will they be able to stay close in games and utilize Chubb? Or will it have to be more of an air attack and RB committee will definitely be on display? With Deshaun coming in under center, it is going to be much more likely that he's going to poach those goal line touches, just a couple of them, enough to take him, those few points away from him that's going to get him over that edge. It's going to take him away from his last 2 seasons, finishing at 207 and 215 PPR points. He was RB13 last year and 11th before, and will fail to break top 12 this year. Now, your guy Cranny was much higher. of a finisher last year, and yet he still makes this list. Who you got?
Yeah, I got James Conner, and you're right. James Conner finished RB5 last year in standard PPR, well, not standard, but in PPR scoring formats. I think a lot of that had to do with the offense he was on because he was super fucking inefficient. He was an absolute value last year per DFL mock drafts. He was drafted at 139.5 in August of last year, and then 163.5 in early September last year. So that means if you were having drafts, like I know a lot of people do drafts the week before game one starts, and redrafts, and I don't know about dynasties. I don't think anyone's doing any of that crazy ass shit, but they might be. You got James Conner at what's that, like the 14th, 15th round or something like that in early September. That's the back end of the 12th, or no, that's actually the back end of the 12th and 13th round of startups. Only finishes the RB5. Now a year later, his ADP is 71.7. The end of the 6th, beginning of the 7th round. I still feel that Connor is a potential value at that range, though. He's being drafted to RB24 overall, right? So he's still a guy you want to look at. He's still a guy if things happen right for him. He's got to produce where you're investing into him. But if you're holding on to him as like your RB2, think he's going to be an RB1, or even your top guy in your starting roster, you're in for a fucking world of hurt. He is being drafted to RB24 overall startups, and so you're at least drafting accordingly, and he's a good flex play on your team if you're getting him in there. And I think you'll be okay when it's all said and done. If you are banking another top 12 season out of Connor, you're going to sort for a major letdown.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is no doubt that when pressed, Kingsbury will rely on one back. Proof of that was last year when either Connor or Edmonds missed time. In 6 games that Edmonds missed time last year, Connor saw an average of 81% of the snaps. That is a hell of a fucking share of the backfield. While Edmonds saw an average of 86% of the snaps. In 2 games, Connor missed. When both Edmonds and Connor were healthy in this backfield, was owned by Edmonds at a 60.1% average snap share. The only place that Connor dominated was the red zone. Connor out-carried Chase Edmonds in the red zone by 21 carries with 41. Outgained him 122 yards, 57 yards, and outscored him in touchdowns 15-2. Another stat to keep in mind, too, is the 15 touchdowns that James Conner scored came in the green zone. That means all of his rushing touchdowns came between the 1 and 10-yard line. That's where his value's at. And Arizona's going to score points no matter who they have out there putting the backfield committee together and when they're getting downs and touches. James Conner is going to be the goal line back. But you're relying on those, and then you're relying on whatever the hell else you can get. He only had 752 rushing yards last year and finishes the RB5 on the back of 18 touchdowns. Now, I'm not saying Conner can't find success again this year in Arizona. It is a high-powered offense. Score a lot of points. Clearly, Conner is their goal line back. What I'm saying is he's due for regression from his 18 total touchdown performance last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And though the Cardinals let Edmonds get away in free agency, they add enough to this backfield to replace Edmonds and take away touches from Connor, signing Darrell Williams, who's like just an old carbon copy of Edmonds, drafting Keontae Ingram, who he's a good ball player. He's a good, solid running back. And the slow rise of Eno Benjamin going into his 3rd year. He finally got some play last year, and he flashed a little bit. So he's going to take some touches. All things working against Connor. Along with his lackluster efficiency as a runner, Connor averaged a measly 3.7 yards a carry on 13.5 carries per game last year, scoring all but 3 of his rushing touchdowns from within the green zone. And those 3 were receiving touchdowns, none of his rushing touchdowns. Connor's longest run last year was 35 yards. Compare the competition, the inefficiencies, the contract, because boy got paid, and the fluctuating nature of scoring touchdowns all together, and you got a recipe for a low-end RB2. James Conner is among one of the biggest busts I have on my list this year. Find your league taco or Connor truther and trade him away and be happy to get your return. Now, here's Tank with a James Conner of takes on this next top 12 failure. Let's hear it, Tank.
Oh, boy. Living up on this one here. I've got Tyreek. Yes, the cheetah.
Boom.
The question will come into play here is, again, the quarterback. Tua's ability to get Tyreek the ball is got to be the big question all year long. Tua is not nearly as dynamic of a passer as Patrick Mahomes. Easy understatement. There is still going to be opportunities, design plays, and Tyreek's going to get his 100 touches. If I was a defensive coordinator, I would make the Dolphins beat me with any other weapon. Anything. which is going to be probably Waddle. He will be doubled, and as absurd as it sounds, probably triple teamed. And we all know that Tua does not throw great into coverage. He's got to get that separation to get his pass in there, or think that he can. Waddle is definitely going to be benefiting from drawing all these single coverages and his ability to create some separation. Tua is going to look to that open guy. I'm not saying Tyreek has a horrible season or anything. I'm just saying I personally will not be surprised when this elite wide receiver doesn't finish top 12 because of inconsistent quarterback play. I mean, they've got a new head coach. He's got a new quarterback. He's a wide receiver coming into a whole team. Like, he's been on the Chiefs since he got drafted, so this is even a whole new culture for him. This season becomes just a slight stutter for Tyreek. Not his most elite year, that's for sure. But I think the big thing that keeps me off of Tua really being good at getting Tyreek the ball is the offensive line. The Dolphins are currently ranked 23rd in their O-line ranking. Tua's going to be under pressure. It's going to be short, intermediate throws. It's not going to allow Tyreek his great play of being able to stretch across the whole defense and get his defenders behind him, because that's all he needs for separation. Timing is going to be so small. I just think it's going to come down to good games here and there, but it's going to be really limited on seeing what Tyreek can do in this Dolphins offense, and that's why I am definitely saying he's going to finish just outside of this top 12 of the wide receivers this year. But speaking of dynamic playmakers, some might be shocked at who you got next.
Some might be. I know a few guys who wouldn't be. Next guy I got, though, A.J. Brown. That's right. Brown is the definition of a big play wide receiver. In his rookie year, 2019, finishes the PPR wide receiver 21 on 52 catches. In 2022, he finished PPR wide receiver 12 with 70 catches. But last year showed the volatility of being a big play wide receiver. Brown saw less efficiency in his first year without offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and the time missed by Derrick Henry didn't help either. Brown finished 2022 as a PPR wide receiver 32 on 63 catches in essentially 12 games. And now the beginning in Philly, a team that threw the ball a mere 494 times last year, good for last place in all of football. With a QB that wasn't very efficient on deep throws last year, only completed 61% of his passes overall, and rushed the ball in the red zone 31 times for 101 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's not what's going against Brown. He has new target competition at Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, not to mention the catching capability of Gainwell and Miles Sanders. Well, maybe not Sanders, but you get the point. Looking at everything that's going against Brown this year, a couple of his previous paths to being a wide receiver 1, and I just can't get him there. He won't see the necessary volume leading to incapable level of efficiency being required, while dealing with a QB that probably won't be capable of hitting downfield anyways. Drop A.J. Brown out of your top 12 and readjust. Another guy you should readjust on due to a major hype increase is Tank's next guy. Who you got, Tank?
Albert O. I think this is like my third time bringing up Albert.
You fucking hate Albert O.
No, it's not a knock against him. Jeez.
Dude, just stand by your convictions. You hate this guy.
I don't hate this guy. I'm just realizing the cap to his fantasy. Well, the fantasy explosion that some seem to think that he's going to have. The spectrum of top 5 to top 12 tight end is so small in a lot of formats. It's just a few receptions, some yards. Heck, it's probably even a touchdown or two that's going to separate some of those guys. With that being said, I still think, given Russ's tight end track record, even bringing in a fresh Jimmy Graham didn't change anything. Russ just doesn't touch the tight ends when he's got viable receivers to throw to. How can we not expect anything similar with Albert? When all Nathaniel Hackett had to do was feature a tight end, he made sure they shined, like Mercedes Lewis in the Jacksonville's years. Tanyan, when it was really uncertain who Aaron Rodgers had to throw to. But in Denver, there are 4 great wideouts. Another great pass-catching rookie tight end, 2 running backs that are more than efficient at receiving the ball. Where are Albert's targets? Not to mention, he's a more seasoned tight end, and with his proven blocking work, he will likely be spending more time at the end of the offensive line in running plays. It's going to wear him out a little bit, take him off the field a little bit here and there, and just reduce his snap share percentage just that touch. So staying with tight end, though, another guy that's commonly on the end of the line and not so much in the slot. Who is your last Titan of tier down?
Titan tier down. Well, I can't call this guy by anything else ever since, and I hope I don't like copyright trouble. But the fantasy footballers dubbed Pat Fryermuth the Muth, and so that is what I refer to him as. So my next guy is the Muth. Pat Fryermuth had an outstanding rookie year as a fantasy tight end, finishing as a PPR tight end number 13, 60 catches, 479 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He showcased what we all knew. He's a solid all-around NFL tight end. And with that confirmed last year, I can understand the hype train building behind Pat. Still, I can't get on board with the idea that he'll be a top 12 tight end this year. Too much has changed in Pitt. For a repeat of last year, and those who think differently are bound to be disappointed. So let's break down the changes that have happened that are destined to keep Pat out of the top 12. We'll start with the added additions to the roster via the draft. George Pickens, Calvin Austin. Both will join Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. That's a lot of other options on the roster to throw to, and good options. Deontay and Claypool combined for 274 targets last year. Youth had 79. Second on this list is the new QBs, Trubisky and Pickett. Though Trubisky led the Bears to the playoffs in 2018 and 2020, he was never an impressive thrower of the ball, showcasing a 41 to 22 touchdown to interception ratio, while topping out at 300,223 passing yards in both of his most productive fantasy seasons. Trubisky may manage to help Pitt win games, but he ain't helping you win fantasy leagues. Trubisky also received a minimal contract that the team would save $8 million from if they were released Mitch then. That would be next year. So you have to bring up Pickett. First-round QB selected 20th overall that practiced in college at the same facility as the franchise, that took 5 years to figure out and put together a notable season, that didn't do shit at Pitt until Jordan Addison showed up. Yeah, that guy. He's not, I like Pickett, but I don't think he's going to go in and be Ben Roethlisberger again. He's not their QB for QB.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
At least not yet. He's still got some time. But Ben coming in was a little rough too.
Yeah, but he went and won a Super Bowl, in his first or second year?
I think so.
Right? So Muth going off as the tight end 9 in startups, projected to finish as a tight end 10 in fantasy points. With an early 8th round ADP per sleeper, you are spending a pick on Pat this year that could be Renfro, Ayuk, or a QB in the range of Matt Ryan, Tannehill. Hell, I don't know, maybe Winston, whatever. I'm just saying, if you take Muth as your starting tight end with the 87th pick in your draft, you're probably going to regret it. So that's all we've got for the episode today. Be sure to click the thumbs up if you like the video. Be sure to hit subscribe so you can get all the notifications when we're putting out new videos. We're trying to ramp up right now and put out 2 a week. We don't know when the hell they're going to release, so keep your eyes peeled for when they're going to come out. Get the notifications, get them turned on. And as always, be water, stand by your convictions. T1A out.